Hi Burbank, I'm Mayor Emily Gabel-Luddy, and today we're at beautiful George Isay Park. We're going to participate in one of the dig days in Burbank. You don't know what dig day is? Well, come with me and let's find out. For some of you who may not know the original story, this came up in council about over a year ago, and it was brought to us by moms here in Burbank, and they were concerned about their kids and the use of chemical spray on the weeds in the parks. And after the council discussed it, we agreed to ban Roundup and chemical weed killer from our parks, not only for the kids who play in our parks, but also for those of us who have compromised immune systems. So we looked at it really as a health-giving activity. And so here we are today working on dig days with Michael Del Campo. Let's do a demonstration.
That would be my pleasure.
These look pretty formidable.
Yeah, there's some good weeds in here. And once again, hand pulling is one of the most effective ways to be selective in a bed like this. You're not going to, if you were to take a string trimmer in there, you take all the weeds out and all the plants you wanted. So hand pulling these weeds, you can actually be in there and be selective and pick out the weeds that you want or don't want in there. So
we need a close-up of these weeds and the plants themselves just to show our viewers how tough it is to tell all this stuff apart. And I think you make a really good point. When you're going at it in a broad way, you know, with the strings, then you can't really control that.
Right. And
you end up taking out the plants as well, or at least the tops of them.
Correct. So let me show you how to pull out the weeds. And the one thing that's the most important is you want to get the roots. The roots are the most important aspect of when you're hand pulling a weed out, because if you leave the roots, the weed's going to grow right back. They've evolved to be that way, and that's why they're called weeds, and they're so aggressive and so commonplace, because they can resprout from anything.
Now, I brought some tools with me because I'm used to pulling weeds in my garden.
That's great.
So let's take a look at the tools I brought and see which ones we're going to use.
See what you got here. Great, you got some gloves, you might want to put those on. I don't need them, I have calluses.
These are really long, these are opera-style gardening gloves for those of you who might want to keep the weeds off your arms.
And the dirt underneath your fingernails.
And you can wear them at Halloween too if you want for a costume.
Two very handy tools. I'm glad to see you have these. Weed poppers. Two different varieties of them. These are a good way to get the roots out without having to get your fingers in there really deep without hurting your nails. If you got your fingernails painted, got some stuff on them, you know. But these are really good also in hard dirt. Soft dirt, you don't really need them, but in hard dirt, these are really great. And as you can say, this helps you get some leverage on it. You also got your garden variety hand trowel. These are really good for doing bigger sections and really getting in there and digging up. Looks like you actually got a lot of dirt in there.
I do. I've been gardening in my front yard.
That's a well-used tool, so I'm glad you brought her. And the most important when you're weeding,
well, some sunblock. So for those of you who are going to be in the sun getting your vitamin D, you may also want to put some sunblock on in your sensitive spots. Like I wore this hat today because it helps keep the sun off my face. But if it's hot and you want to just reduce the amount of sunburn you're going to have, here we have some sports sunblock that will take care of all the problems that you might have from being in the sun too much.
So this is very important. All right, so let's show you how to pull a weed.
All right.
Try to grab it down as low to the base as you can. You're going to feel it up. And don't just yank it. You want to kind of work it up so you can get all the roots like that.
Oh, man, this is tough work. There we go. You can take smaller amounts at first, huh?
Yeah, but if you can get the most of the roots out, knock the weed out, that's a good pull right there.
Hey,
see?
That's really
Professional
cool.
mayor.
Beth McQuitty is our Dig Day coordinator, and she is a very special person in the city of Burbank. So Beth, I want to welcome you to this mayor show.
Thank you so much. It's good to be here.
One of the questions that I've been asked is, where do dig days happen and what's it like and who are the volunteers? So can you tell us a little bit about where the parks are and how you advertise for it, and maybe, and I'll remind you again, who shows up at these dig days?
Sure. I mean, those are all really great questions. Right now, we have regular rotating days that anybody in the community can show up to. So we have 4 different parks that rotate on different Saturdays. So the first Saturday of the month, people can go to Johnny Carson Park. The second Saturday of the month, they can go to McCambridge Park. The third, right here at George Isay Park. And the fourth week, they go to Verdugo Park. You don't need to sign up, you just show up, and it runs from 8 to 10 a.m. again every single Saturday. So that's one way that you can get involved in DIG. The other way is by actually contacting me and getting a whole group involved. So say you're at a church or you have a community group that gets together and you want to do a project together, you would reach out to me and we can arrange a special DIG just for you. So we've had many groups do that, and they're always a lot of fun. It's a really great opportunity to build relationships with each other, do team bonding and all of that.
One of the things I did was I brought my own equipment to the experience of DIG Days. Does someone need to bring their own equipment, or can they just show up ready to go?
That is also a really good question. Technically speaking, you could just show up and you can just dig your hands in the dirt. It is more comfortable though if you have gloves. We have been bringing some gloves, but again, if everybody comes without them, we might run out. So we recommend to people, if you know that you're coming, go ahead and bring a pair of gloves. Avoid, getting your hands too dirty. You can pull weeds without a tool, but again, if you know that you're coming, any household tool really will do. You can grab a hammer. You had a very cool weeding fork. Well, what household tool looks a lot like a weeding fork?
A fork.
A fork, yeah, and also, yeah, a fork.
A knife?
I don't know about pulling out a knife, but maybe a screwdriver, right? It has a very similar shape, so yeah. A screwdriver would work just fine. So it's really easy to look and grab some of the tools that you might need for a dig day.
I guess I'm not going to bring my forks because that would kind of interfere with the family meals.
That's true.
Tell me about the most extraordinary experience you've had so far working with the community in Dig Day. What is that like?
I have to say that actually a couple of days ago we had a community dig at, it was actually a bigger, more special dig day, and we had it at Johnny Carson Park. We had about 30 people come out from the Army, from Kiwanis, from Key Club, community members. We just had a very diverse group, different ages, right? So little kids and older adults, the whole spectrum. Everybody came together, and in an hour and a half, they were able to weed the entire area around the Johnny Carson Park playground. Wow. And mulch it in an hour and a half. And to me, that was just a testament to what can be done when the community really comes together. It only took an hour and a half, but because 30 people showed up and decided to spend their Saturday morning being a part of something big, being a part of the community, they were able to make a huge impact that kids everywhere in Burbank are going to enjoy. The park looks beautiful.
Wow, that is such a cool thing to tell us about. I mean, one of the things that Burbank is well known for is we cooperate with one another, we engage one another, and I think that's a great example of doing it here in terms of keeping all those chemicals out of our parks. Definitely.
I have absolutely loved being a part of this program, and really it's that multi-generational aspect that I think is so cool. I can sit and work next to a 4-year-old who's just learning what it means to give back to their community and be a part of things and invest in where they live, right? And they can do that at their level, and we really welcome that. No matter what age you are, we invite people to come and just be a part of it.
The next question is an obvious one, and that is, how do community members get more involved in Dig Days? Where do they go? Where do they look? How do they sign up?
Well, as I mentioned before, the schedule never changes. So we have a dig day every single Saturday. So you can just show up. Once you know when the rotation is, you know what park you want to go to, you know when to show up. But if you want to ask questions or you want more information about tools or even more information on how to dig, you can just go to our website, www.burbankca.gov/digburbank. And the website has information about all of the different digs we have going on. It has information about how to sign up as a group if you want to do it with a group that you're a part of. And it also has paperwork that you can download. So any minor that participates in Dig Burbank does need to have a parent sign a permission form. And we have those available online and at the sites when you show up on a Saturday morning.
So children who are younger than 18 need their parents' permission. Their parents need to sign on acknowledging that it's okay for them to do digging.
Correct. And once you've done that one time, you never have to do it again.
That's really important information, because if you're cleared one time, then you're good to go. Any other Saturday you want to come in and help keep our parks free of weeds.
Free of weeds.
Well, I'm standing with a wonderful family here, and I wanted to ask if you would introduce yourself and your kids and tell us a little bit about how you got involved.
Hi, I'm Carrie Stewart. This is Molly Stewart and Tyler Stewart, and we are from South Hills Church here in Burbank. And about a year and a half ago, we reached out to the city, the Parks Department, and asked if there were any projects that were needed. And we were told that there was some cleaning that could have been done at Johnny Carson Park. And so we have this kind of motto that if we see a need, we meet that need. So we've been rallying our church people together about every 6 weeks for the past year and a half to clean the stream bed at Johnny Carson Park so that no chemicals have to be used in that area. And that was really important to a lot of our people.
Wow, that is so impressive. Tell me, do you have any stories about the experience of doing your digging?
I'll just say probably the best part about it is just to see that it's a project that all ages can do. We've had little ones out there, we've had much older people. You know, it's just been a great experience, something that the entire family can do. We've had beautiful days that we can be outside together, serving our community, and we just think it's really important that if we're in this community, that we take pride in it and we be a part of our community.
I've heard a lot of interesting stories today about experiences with people who are volunteering their time to dig, but I did want to ask you what it was about pulling weeds that you find so enjoyable.
So one thing that I really like is seeing people from my church pulling the weeds, and my family goes to these parks a lot, so I like to keep them clean and mostly just playing with Tyler and all the other kids that come to the parks.
How about you, Tyler? Do you enjoy pulling weeds? What is it about pulling weeds that you enjoy?
I like pulling the weeds because it's fun, and we see friends.
That's great. I mean, it's all about seeing friends and having a good time, right? As you've seen, Dig Burbank is a wonderful way to give back to the community, to make our parks beautiful and healthy. So I have just one final question to ask you. Do you dig Burbank?
We dig Burbank!